Most people live their whole lives asleep. They wake up, hit the same alarm, move through the same routines, talk about the same dreams they never chase, and die without ever knowing what they were capable of. That's the tragedy of being average. It's not failure, it's never even trying. Average feels safe. It tells you you're doing fine. It tells you that you deserve a break, that the world owes you comfort. But comfort is a slow poison. It doesn't kill you fast. It drains your fire drop by drop until one day you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back. You see a version of yourself that's settled. And deep inside, that hurts more than any failure ever could. Every one of us was born with something burning inside. A spark, a calling, a sense that we could be more than what the world expects. But the moment life starts getting hard, most people trade that spark for excuses. They trade their hunger for comfort. They say, maybe tomorrow. They say, I'm too tired. They say, at least I'm doing better than most. That's the language of average. And average has one goal: to keep you weak. Refusing to be average starts when you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending that you're giving your best when you know you're not. You stop letting your feelings make your decisions. You start demanding the truth from yourself, not from anyone else. Because the truth is, no one cares how you feel. The world responds to what you do. You can talk about goals all day, but if you're not putting in the work when no one's watching, you're just another dreamer sitting in the comfort zone, slowly fading away. Pain is the entrance fee to greatness. Every time you push through it, you buy a piece of the life you want. You can't grow without pressure. You can't get strong without resistance. And the reason most people never change is because the moment things get hard, they back off. They call it balance. They call it self-care. But deep down, they know they're quitting. When you refuse to be average, you stop negotiating with your weakness. You stop giving yourself options. You start building discipline brick by brick, rep by rep, mile by mile. You show up even when it's cold, when it's late, when no one else is there. Because that's where the real transformation happens. In the dark, in the silence, when it's just you versus your mind. Your mind will always find reasons to quit. It will tell you it's too hard, too painful, too late. But every time you fight back and say, not today, you take power away from that voice, you start reprogramming it. You start teaching it that pain doesn't control you. You control it. That's how warriors are built. They don't wait for perfect moments. They create them through relentless action. Every day you wake up is another chance to prove who you are. Not to the world, to yourself. You can't fake effort. You can't cheat consistency. The mirror never lies. It shows you exactly what you've been doing when no one was around. The question is, are you proud of that reflection or are you hiding from it? The difference between the strong and the weak isn't talent. It's standards. Strong people hold themselves accountable. They don't let excuses live in their head rent free. When they fall, they get back up faster. When they fail, they learn faster. When they hurt, they push harder. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to be average. You've got to decide what kind of life you want. Do you want the life that looks easy, that feels comfortable, that fades away quietly? Or do you want the life that demands every ounce of you? The life that tests you, breaks you, rebuilds you, and proves that you were capable of far more than you ever imagined. The path of average will always be there. It's crowded. It's noisy. It's full of people who will clap for mediocrity and call it success. But there's another path, narrow, lonely, steep, covered in sweat, and filled with doubt. That's the path of growth. That's where greatness hides, waiting for someone willing to bleed for it. Most people will never take that path because it requires something they're not ready to give: everything. Your comfort, your ego, your excuses, all of it. The price of greatness isn't money, it's pain. And once you understand that, pain stops being a punishment. It becomes your partner. It becomes proof that you're alive, that you're changing, that you're becoming something stronger than yesterday. Refuse to be average. Not once, not sometimes, every day. Every decision, every rep, every thought. Because average is always waiting, whispering in your ear, begging you to take it easy. And every time you say no, you build the muscle of greatness. Average is comfortable because it's predictable. You know exactly what you're going to get. The same outcomes, the same disappointments, the same excuses. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't demand that you grow. But the truth is, the things that scare you the most are the very things designed to shape you. Fear is a compass. If something terrifies you, it's usually pointing straight toward the place where your potential is hiding. Every time you run from that fear, you strengthen the chains of mediocrity. You feed the part of your mind that wants to stay small. But when you face it, when you walk straight into the thing that makes your hands shake and your heart race, you start unlocking who you were meant to be. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you act anyway. It means you choose purpose over comfort, growth over ease. Refusing to be average isn't a slogan. It's a daily war. It's waking up tired and choosing to move anyway. It's hearing the inner voice say, stop, and answering back, I'm just getting started. It's pushing through when nobody's clapping, when nobody sees you grinding, when every muscle screams for rest. That's the battlefield of self-mastery. And the only enemy that matters is the one inside your own head. See, everyone loves the idea of greatness until they realize what it costs. Everyone wants the result, the success, the respect, the recognition. But very few are willing to pay in blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Greatness doesn't visit the ones who wish for it. It comes to the ones who work for it when no one is watching. It comes to the ones who refuse to lower their standards just to fit in with the crowd. The crowd will always try to pull you back to average. They'll tell you you're obsessed, that you're taking it too seriously, that you should relax. They'll project their own weakness onto you, because seeing you rise reminds them of how much they've settled. Don't listen to them. Their comfort is not your calling. Their opinions are not your mission. If you want to rise above, you have to be willing to walk alone. Loneliness is part of the process. The higher you climb, the fewer people can breathe that air. Not everyone is meant to understand your drive. That's not arrogance. That's reality. The pursuit of excellence will isolate you because most people are too busy trying to blend in. But here's the truth. Solitude builds strength. When you learn to stand alone, you stop needing approval. When you stop needing approval, you become unstoppable. There will be days when you question everything. When the pain feels pointless. When progress feels invisible. When quitting whispers louder than hope. Those are the defining moments. The ones that separate the strong from the weak. In those moments, you have two choices. Surrender to the pain or transform it into power. The average person surrenders. The uncommon one uses it as fuel. You have to learn to be at peace in the struggle. The struggle is where the identity of greatness is forged. It's where you find out what's really inside you. Pain exposes truth. It shows you what you're made of when everything comfortable is stripped away. Most people never reach that level because they tap out before they meet the real version of themselves. If you want to become someone extraordinary, you must be willing to do what ordinary people won't. You have to train when they sleep. You have to study when they scroll. You have to keep your mind sharp when everyone else is distracted. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. It's about outworking your own weakness until there's nothing left but strength. You won't always win. You'll fall, you'll fail. You'll question why you started. But every time you get back up, you send a message to life itself. I'm not average. I don't quit when it's hard. I grow when it's hard. You start to build a reputation with yourself, and that's the only reputation that matters. When you trust yourself, when you know you'll show up no matter how you feel, that's when you become unstoppable. Discipline isn't something you find. It's something you build day by day through repetition and honesty. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's doing the small, boring things with excellence until they become who you are. That's what separates the elite from everyone else. The commitment to the grind, even when it's invisible, even when no one celebrates it. The path of refusing to be average is long, lonely, and full of resistance. But that resistance is the gift. Every challenge you face, every moment of discomfort, every voice telling you to stop, those are invitations to grow. The world won't hand you greatness. It will hand you pain, setbacks, and doubt. Your job is to turn them into strength. Every time you push past your limits, You create a new version of yourself. You start realizing that the limits were never real. They were illusions built by comfort, fear, and the opinions of others. When you stop listening to those illusions, when you start demanding more from yourself than the world demands from you, that's when you break free. Refuse to be average, because average is the death of potential. Every day you stay in that comfort zone, a part of your greatness dies quietly. Don't let that happen. Burn the bridge back to mediocrity. Step into the pain. Step into the challenge. Step into the version of yourself that scares you. That's where your power lies. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize that no one is coming to save them. No mentor, no motivation video, no perfect plan. Just you and the choices you make when everything feels impossible. That's the moment most people break. But that's also the moment where warriors are born. Because when you stop waiting for rescue and start taking responsibility, you take control of your destiny. The world doesn't owe you success. It doesn't care about your intentions, your past, or your pain. It only responds to action. You can have the biggest dreams in the world, but if you're not moving, they mean nothing. Motion is the only language greatness understands. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration. I'm not average, I'm still in the fight. Average people love talking about motivation. They wait for the perfect mood to start. But those who rise beyond average understand a secret. Motivation is unreliable. It's a spark. It burns bright for a moment, then disappears. Discipline is the fire that never goes out. Discipline is showing up when you're empty. It's doing the work when nobody's cheering. It's saying, I don't feel like it, and doing it anyway. You build discipline by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and follow through, you strengthen your identity. Every time you make an excuse, you weaken it. That's how confidence is built. Not from speeches, not from praise, but from consistency. You earn self-respect through relentless follow-through. And make no mistake, life will test that commitment. It will throw pain, setbacks, and rejection at you just to see how serious you are. Most people take that as a sign to stop. But the uncommon one, the one who refuses to be average, takes it as a challenge. They say, all right, life, let's see what you've got. Because they know growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in storms. When you're in that storm, when everything feels like it's crashing down, remember this pain isn't punishment. It's preparation. Every scar is a lesson. Every failure is feedback. Every obstacle is building you into the kind of person who can handle more. The reason average people crumble under pressure is because they never allowed themselves to be tested. They protected their comfort instead of developing their strength. If you want to become great, you have to invite struggle. You have to step into situations that scare you and demand more from yourself than feels reasonable. You have to train your mind to stop craving easy. Because the easy path builds nothing. It's the hard path that shapes you, that forges character, that separates those who talk from those who do. When you wake up and your body aches, when your mind says, take a break, when everything in you screams, enough, that's when the real work begins. That's when average people stop and the uncommon ones go one more round, one more rep, one more hour, one more step. You win not because you're gifted, but because you refuse to stop. People will misunderstand your drive. They'll call you obsessed, crazy, extreme. But what they call obsession, you call purpose. What they call insanity, you call freedom. Because when you've been average before, when you've felt that emptiness of living below your potential, you never want to go back. You know what mediocrity feels like, and you'd rather face pain, exhaustion, and isolation than live there again. You have to redefine what comfort means to you. Comfort isn't sitting still. Comfort is knowing you gave everything. Comfort is peace earned through effort. It's looking in the mirror at the end of the day and saying, I showed up. Most people can't say that. They distract themselves from the truth because deep down, they know they quit on themselves long ago. Refusing to be average means living with brutal honesty. It means holding yourself accountable for every choice, every delay, every excuse. You can't hide behind circumstances. You can't blame your past. You can't wait for ideal conditions. The moment you take ownership of everything in your life, the pain, the progress, the failures, you become unstoppable. Ownership is power. Blame is weakness. There's a freedom that comes with giving up excuses. You stop wasting energy on defending mediocrity. You stop explaining why you can't. You start focusing on how you can. That shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're not a victim of your environment. You're a creator of your results. You realize you've been the problem and the solution all along. Greatness isn't found in big moments. It's hidden in small, consistent ones. It's built when no one sees you, when your tires sore and still grinding. It's built when you choose the hard thing over the easy thing again and again. That's how you transform average into extraordinary. Not overnight, not through luck, but through years of persistence that most people simply don't have the patience for. Average minds look for shortcuts. They want the reward without the grind. But every shortcut robs you of the strength you could have built. Every time you take the easy route, you trade growth for comfort. And comfort will never give you the life you dream of. The long way is the strong way. It forces you to evolve, to adapt, to become unbreakable. Refuse to be average not because it's cool, but because your soul knows you were made for more. Somewhere inside you, there's a version that's waiting to be unleashed. Stronger, sharper, more resilient. The only way to meet that version is to suffer, to work, to endure. That's the price. And once you pay it, you'll never want to live another way again. There's a war going on every single day, not outside, but inside. It's the battle between who you are and who you're supposed to become. And every decision you make either feeds your potential or feeds your weakness. You can't serve both. You can't want greatness and keep habits built for mediocrity. The life you want demands a different version of you, and that version won't come easy. Most people underestimate how much they can endure. They give up the moment life gets uncomfortable. But what they don't realize is that their threshold for pain is the same threshold that limits their growth. You want to grow more. You've got to suffer more. There's no shortcut, no secret, no easy system that can replace the grind. The grind is the filter that separates dreamers from doers. When you refuse to be average, you start living by a different set of rules. You stop caring about what's fair and start focusing on what's required. You stop waiting for motivation and start moving from discipline. You stop looking for support and start finding strength within yourself. Because deep down, you realize that nobody's coming to hold your hand. And that's not a tragedy. That's a gift. When you understand that it's all on you, you stop wasting time wishing things were easier. You start getting better. You start getting tougher. You start building that callous mind. A mind that doesn't break when life hits hard. Because life will hit. It will knock you down. It will test you. It will take from you. But when you've been through the fire enough times, you stop running from it. You start walking straight into it because you know it's the only place real transformation happens. Refusing to be average means choosing pain on purpose. Not because you enjoy it, but because you understand it's the price of evolution. You have to go through seasons of isolation, exhaustion, and doubt to reach levels others can't. You have to go without sleep, without validation, without guarantees. You have to trust that the struggle has meaning, even when you can't see it yet. Every person who has ever done something great has had moments where they wanted to quit. But what separates them from the rest is that they didn't listen to the voice that said, enough. They kept moving, even when progress was invisible. They knew the pain wasn't permanent, but quitting would be. You can recover from pain. You can't recover from giving up on yourself. And let's be real. Average is always waiting. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It tells you you've done enough today. It tells you you deserve a break. It tells you maybe tomorrow. But every time you listen, you trade your potential for temporary relief. You trade your future for comfort. Refusing to be average means ignoring that whisper and listening to your higher self, the one that knows your purpose, the one that doesn't settle. You've got to be relentless. You've got to be obsessed with progress, not perfection, because perfection is a lie. Progress is truth. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you're pushing your limits, you're winning. Even if nobody notices. The world might not clap for you, but the grind will reward you. It will carve you into someone capable of things you can't even imagine right now. There's a certain peace that comes from knowing you've earned everything you have. When you've bled for it, sweated for it, cried for it, nobody can take that from you. You can lose everything else, but not your work ethic, not your mindset, not your character. That's what refusing to be average builds. An identity rooted in effort, not results. Because results come and go. Who you become in the process stays forever. Every time you choose the hard thing, you're rewriting your story. You're proving to yourself that the old version, the lazy one, the afraid one, the one full of excuses, doesn't control you anymore. That's not who you are now. You've buried that version in the fire of effort. You're becoming someone new, someone who thrives in the discomfort everyone else runs from. The journey will never be easy, but that's what makes it meaningful. The pain you feel now will become the strength you depend on later. The lonely nights, the doubts, the sacrifices, they're all investments in your future self. One day you'll look back and realize that the struggle didn't break you, it built you. Every scar will tell a story of survival, of commitment, of refusal to be ordinary. Refusing to be average is not about arrogance, it's about gratitude. It's saying, I was given this one life, and I refuse to waste it living small. It's about honoring your potential by using every ounce of it. It's about waking up every day, knowing that you have another chance to prove what you're made of. That's not pressure. That's privilege. You've got to start treating your dreams like they matter. Stop speaking softly about them. Stop hiding them from people who don't believe. Speak them with conviction. Chase them with urgency. Protect them with discipline. Because if you don't, nobody else will. The world won't hand you greatness. It'll hand you distractions. You've got to fight through those distractions like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. You're either growing or dying. There's no in between. Average is just a slow form of death. Quiet, comfortable, invisible. You stop dreaming, you stop trying, you stop evolving. You become a shadow of what you could have been. Don't let that happen. Refuse to fade. Refuse to slow down. Refuse to be another person who almost made it. There will come a day when you stand at the edge of your limits. When your body screams, your mind begs you to stop. Everything in you wants to walk away. That's the moment that defines everything. Because that's where most people turn back. That's where average gives up. But not you. You didn't come this far to stop at almost. You came to find out what happens if you don't quit. Every breakthrough you'll ever have lives on the other side of, I can't. Every wall you hit is just an invitation to dig deeper, to tap into something most people never find. That extra gear, that unshakable spirit, that inner voice that says, keep going. When you find that, you stop being normal. You stop being average. You become something unbreakable. Refusing to be average isn't a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. It's every single day waking up and saying, I'm not done yet. It's pushing yourself long after the excitement fades. It's keeping your standards high when nobody else holds you accountable. Because greatness isn't built on moments of motivation. It's built on years of relentless repetition. Most people think success is about talent. It's not. It's about endurance. It's about how long you can stay consistent when everyone else gets tired. It's about how many times you can rise after being knocked down. You don't need to be gifted. You need to be gritty. You need to be the kind of person who looks at pain and says, is that all you've got? Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. It's wired for survival, not greatness. But you can rewire it. Every time you do something hard, every time you push through the voice that says, stop, you build mental armor. You teach your brain that struggle doesn't equal danger. It equals growth. And once you start associating pain with progress, you become unstoppable. People will ask you why you push so hard, why you can't just relax, why you can't just be normal. They won't understand that normal doesn't satisfy you anymore. They won't understand that you've seen what mediocrity feels like, and it felt like death. You can't go back to living half awake. You've tasted purpose, and now you're hungry for more. You have to live with intensity. You have to live like your time is running out, because it is. Every day wasted is one less day to become who you were meant to be. Stop acting like you've got forever. You don't. Every sunrise is a reminder. This is your shot. This is your life. This is your moment to leave average behind for good. Refusing to be average means setting standards that scare you, goals so big that they demand transformation. Because goals that don't scare you won't change you. You need to chase the kind of vision that keeps you up at night, that forces you to evolve, that turns fear into focus. That's where real growth happens, not in comfort, but in pursuit. And when you start chasing something bigger than yourself, everything changes. You stop being driven by ego and start being driven by purpose. You stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with who you were yesterday. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them. That's when your life becomes a mission, not a routine. The truth is, greatness doesn't happen in front of crowds. It happens in silence. It happens when you wake up before the world does. It happens when you put in the reps nobody sees, when you run the miles no one counts, when you refuse to take shortcuts. Those invisible moments build the foundation that the world eventually applauds. But by then, the applause doesn't matter, because you know the real reward was becoming who you are now. The uncommon ones, the ones who rise, who transform, who defy odds, they all share one thing in common: they refuse to settle. They looked at average and said, "That's not my home." They took their pain, their failures, their weaknesses, and turned them into fuel. They didn't wait for the right time. They created it. They didn't wait for motivation. They became it too. You just have to decide that enough is enough. Enough excuses. Enough waiting. Enough letting fear run your life. The moment you make that decision, the moment you draw that line in the sand and say, "I will not be average," everything changes. Your thoughts change. Your energy changes, and the world starts responding to that energy. But make no mistake, the world will test that decision. It will try to drag you back to mediocrity. It will throw distractions, failures, and temptations at you to see if you really mean it. That's when you remind yourself why you started. That's when you remember that every great story was written in hardship. That's when you refuse to break, because you've already burned the bridge to average behind you. The truth is, greatness isn't reserved for a few special people. It's available to anyone willing to pay the price. But most won't, because the price is too high. It costs comfort, it costs sleep, it costs validation. But if you're willing to pay that price, if you're willing to push through the pain, if you're willing to demand more of yourself than the world demands of you, there's nothing you can't become. So here's the challenge. Look at your life right now and be brutally honest. Where have you been playing small? Where have you let average sneak in? Where have you let excuses win? Face it. Own it. Then destroy it. Replace it with discipline, with hunger, with drive. Build yourself into someone who doesn't need to talk about potential. Someone who lives it every single day. Refuse to be average. Refuse to settle. Refuse to die without knowing what you are truly capable of. You have one life. Don't waste it living below your potential. Every moment you have is an opportunity to go one more round, one more mile, one more step toward becoming the person you were destined to be. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break limits. So get up, get focused, get relentless. Be the one who decided that average ends here.